1865, an elderly gentleman stood on the deck of a freighter in Boston Harbor and wrote this prayer. How will I make them understand this message of Krishna consciousness? I am very unfortunate, unqualified, and the most fallen. Somehow or other, O Lord, you have brought me here to speak about you. Now, my Lord, it is up to you to make me a success or failure as you like. 12 years later, Hare Krishna was a household word. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada had been more than successful. He had founded the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, a worldwide confederation of over 100 ashrams, schools, temples, and farm communities, and had made the chanting of Hare Krishna familiar to millions of people. He had written and published over 80 volumes of translation and commentary on self-realization, which are now standard in universities and libraries around the world, and he had gathered about him thousands of dedicated disciples. Srila Prabhupada became known to the world as a scholar, philosopher, social critic, and spiritual leader. But to his disciples, Srila Prabhupada was dearmost friend, father, and inner guide. The importance of the spiritual master to his disciples cannot be overstated. It is said that only by the mercy of the spiritual master can one receive the benediction of Krishna, and without the grace of the spiritual master, one cannot make any spiritual advancement. So the disciple's entire life focuses on the spiritual master and his instructions. In this relationship, the activities of the spiritual master are of monumental importance to his devotees. A disciple finds meaning even in the smallest gesture. Wherever he traveled, Srila Prabhupada would emerge daily into the chill and quiet of the early morning, and cloaked in a warm wrap, he would take a lengthy stroll with an entourage of students, disciples, and guests. Some mornings would find Srila Prabhupada immersed in contemplation or quiet appreciation of natural scenery. At other times, Srila Prabhupada would speak at great length and often with considerable intensity on various subjects. During these animated discourses, Srila Prabhupada would turn the profound Vedic philosophy into a practical cutting edge that penetrated every sphere of life and thought. The word acharya means one who teaches by example, and the following unedited footage provides an intimate glimpse into the exemplary life of Srila Prabhupada. To most people, the daily activities of a spiritual master are a mystery, and it is interesting to see how such an important historical figure conducted his everyday affairs. What emerges is an endearing portrait of an authentic spiritual personality.
In 1965, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, a Vedic scholar and holy man in the renounced order of life, left India for America to transform a bold vision into a historical reality of global dimension. To fulfill the desire of generations of Indian saints who wished to see India's timeless spiritual culture benefit the entire world, Srila Prabhupada left India and sailed to the United States. When he arrived by freighter, he was practically penniless, but after nearly a year of struggle, he established the International Society for Krishna Consciousness in July of 1966. In the years that followed, the society grew rapidly, and Hare Krishna became familiar to millions of people. Srila Prabhupada became the focal point for the public's interest in the Hare Krishna movement, but he was never too busy to carefully answer any question. And, with each and every encounter, he would open the doors to the ancient philosophical and spiritual knowledge of India. An acharya is one who teaches by example. By his personal example, Srila Prabhupada demonstrated that the soul, the self, is naturally eternal, full of knowledge, and full of transcendental bliss. When a living being is awakened to his original constitutional position of Krishna consciousness, he becomes filled with sublime, exalted spiritual emotions that have no material counterpart. As a great self-realized and God-conscious saint, Srila Prabhupada often exhibited the spiritual happiness that Krishna describes in the Bhagavad Gita. That sacred and ancient fountainhead of wisdom has this to say about the final state of human perfection. In that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness and enjoys himself through transcendental senses. Established thus, one never departs from the truth, and upon gaining this, he knows there is no greater gain.
Welcome.
For a dedicated follower of the Vaishnava religious tradition, Vrindavan, India is the most sacred place on earth. In 1965, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada left the holy city of Vrindavan to deliver the message of Krishna consciousness to the Western countries. At the request of his spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada gave up his peaceful and contemplative life there in order to preach the most profound wisdom of ancient India to the rest of the world. No one could have imagined that in a few short years, Srila Prabhupada would have created a revolution in spiritual consciousness and become the Acharya, the spiritual teacher to so many people. He had founded the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, a worldwide confederation of over 100 ashrams, schools, temples, and farm communities, and had made the chanting of Hare Krishna familiar to millions of people. And he had written and published over 80 volumes of translation and commentary on self-realization, which are now standard in universities and libraries around the world. Srila Prabhupada circled the globe 11 times between 1966 and 1977, and he met countless political, social, and religious leaders in scores of countries on every continent. He would speak at great length, and often with considerable intensity on various subjects. During these discourses, Srila Prabhupada would turn the profound Vedic philosophy into a practical cutting edge that penetrated every sphere of life and thought. Srila Prabhupada taught that there can be no real peace or brotherhood in human society as long as we are murdering our brothers, the animals. Nature's laws of karma, action and reaction, ensure that violence is repaid with violence. In other words, as you sow, so shall you reap. Srila Prabhupada's views were always persuasive because they rested on systematic logic and sound philosophy. He once said, "Philosophy without religion is mental speculation, and religion without philosophy is sentimentality."
Who is